guys. I haven't seen you in a while. I've been busy, and I was thinking to myself while I was waiting for my fire, my cold from last night to warm up, that I would give you an update on what's going on. So, where I live, we've had a very, very cold. Well, I think it was all over North America because everybody on YouTube is talking about the polar vortex or something like that. And that's pretty much what hit around here. We've had a lot of minus 30s Celsius. So that's almost minus 30 Fahrenheit also. And and the other thing too is when a new year begins, my job becomes very hectic because we run on budgets. So when we arrive at the end of the year, usually becomes very, very relaxed because we run out of money usually because of the financial gurus. They make it so tight and so disciplined that we rarely run out of money, but usually around December that's where everything dries out, and we gotta wait till January arrives to be able to replenish our projects and so on. So usually when January arrives, I'm working like almost 20 to 30 hours of overtime a week, and so January was very hectic. But on top of that, the weekends that I was able to get enough energy, it was so cold outside, it was not even pleasant. And my camera and what I'm filming right now is a GoPro Hero 2. It's a very old camera, and the batteries on that don't like the cold at all. So even on a full charge on a brand new battery, it won't last even 5 minutes when it's very cold. And my microphone, I didn't even test it in the cold, so I bet it's most probably cheaper than that. So in a few weeks I'm going to make a nice purchase, which will be a weatherized DSLR, and it will withstand the cold a little bit better. But anyways, the big colds in a few weeks are going to be gone anyways. So and I'm not a fan of huge cold, and my channel is not about full survival and all that. It's about outdoor adventures, like I said. That's why I called it Jake's Adventure and not Jake's Bushcraft Mega Survival thingy. That's not the goal of what I'm trying to of transmit as a message on my channel. The goal of my channel, like I've always said, is to, maybe motivate people to go more in the bush and have fun out there, because it's really pleasant. And I got something new in the mail. So like you guys know, my K-bar is my always favorite knife. So this knife has been with me for almost 10 years. But the only problem of my K-bar, it's so massive that you whack that thing for a few hours and you get really tired. And I've always liked the handle for debranching and so on. This is a very, very good knife, and it's made out of not cold steel, but carbon steel, and it stays sharp very long. And if people are not, if some of you are not aware of what kind of steels and what's the difference between certain steels, in a nutshell, you've got two spectrum of stainless steel that won't rust. So on one side you've got stainless steel, which has a bit of carbon in it, but not enough to make it fragile. So because if you have too much carbon in steel, it will be very, very strong, but it's going to snap easy. So in a knife application, that means you're going to chip the blade, you're going to chip the end, and so on. And when it's on the other side of the spectrum, when there's not a high level of carbon, then you're always going to be sharpening that knife. Like my buck, I have a buck that's made out of stainless steel. It's 440 or something like that, and I'm always sharpening that thing. It doesn't keep its edge for a long time, but I doubt I'll ever chip that blade. And this here has a good level of carbon in it, but the good side of that is I never was able to chip it, but I don't sharpen this thing very often. I don't recall sharpening you know, in 10 years, if I sharpened it 5 times, that's that's almost exaggerating. And it still cuts, you know, like, I, you can see that it cuts. I would need a sharpening now, but, so that's my favorite knife. But now, I don't know if you guys follow Survival Lilly. She's really great, and she came up with her own design of a knife, which is the Apocalypse 1, the APO-1. And right off the bat, what I love of this knife is the sheath. And the sheath, you don't even need to use this, because the knife stays in the sheath. So if you want to strap that onto a pack or something, it would do a nice job. But if you have it on your belt, one cool feature is there's a little drain hole at the bottom here, and I think that's a very nice attention. And the knife itself, I wanted the normal knife, but there was only the black one left, which it turns out to be cool. But like you see, I have one like that, and after a few years, you can see all the the real blade wants to be exposed, and that's battening and all sorts of stuff that I did with this knife. All the abuse I gave it, that will remove itself eventually. And this is the steel that was used to make this knife is AUS8, which in the spectrum that I was talking about is pretty much in the middle. So some people don't like this steel, but I think it's a really good steel, because it brings you the best of both worlds. So it's not going to chip, but it's hard enough that you won't be always sharpening it. But I'll sharpen this most probably much more often than I sharpen this. But if you look at the blade, see how thick it is? It's almost as thick as this guy. You know, like if you compare them side by side, they're almost the same thickness, but you can see that the size of the blade is very different. So, you know, this guy is much more light. And one thing that I love of this knife is this thumb grip, you know. So if you're doing feather sticks, you have a little thumb grip, you know. And right now it doesn't do well, because the edge on it, the stock edge is really bad. You know, well, in my books, you know, for certain people maybe that's a good edge, but I like an edge where I can cut a hair in two. So I really like my knives extremely sharp, because a knife is made to cut. So it's a full tang. You can see that the tang goes all the way here, and you can see at the end here, you can put a paracord or something in there, or you can actually use that as a pommel if you're knocking on something. So and this is the second version of the knife she made. The first version she had, the screws here were not stainless steel, and when she went on a trip in Africa, she was exposed to salted water a lot, so her knife was often wet with salt water, and salt is really bad to metal. So if you don't have a stainless steel anything, it's just going to rust. So all the screws that she had in there on her first version were completely rusted. So she changed those to stainless steel, which will make it last longer. And I think it's a very, very nice, and I really love the blade. And she made that blade so that you won't be able to chip the end at the same time. So I think it's a really good job. It's not I paid this knife twice as much as this guy, and the reason for that is these are not mass produced. So I think this is like not even 1,500 that she made up to now. So they're not mass produced, so it's normal that the price will be higher, but at the same time it's almost a limited edition if you want. But I couldn't care less how much it was worth. In my books, this knife is going to do a lot of happiness in my life. And see all my blah blah, and now look at this. See my coal? They're all red. So now it's ready for next step, and the next step is to stir that all up and then just put my wood directly on top of that. So anywho, I just wanted to give you guys a quick update, since it's been weeks I didn't make a video. I was so busy, and when I was not busy I was freezing, and when I was not freezing there was 10 feet of snow falling on us. And outside right now, that pisses me off, because I wanted to go this weekend, but it's not practical right now. There's a layer of ice that was formed right on top of all the snow, and on top of that there's another inch of snow about. So walking in that with snowshoes is extremely tiresome and it's dangerous if you fall, because it's really like, animals don't move a lot in that snow during that time. So it's even dangerous that some are going to starve, because when they walk in there they just scrape all their legs, so they tend to not move a lot because of that. So I'm not going to adventure myself in the bush this weekend, and regardless it's minus 20 right now. So that's too cold for this old man. So my goal is to try to go maybe next weekend or something like that. But I want to test out my new sleeping bag that I got. I got a minus 35 degrees sleeping bag, and my goal is not to sleep at minus 35, but I would love to do a little night in my little shelter that I did during the winter, and even maybe set up my little lavabo. The problem with my lavabo is I won't be able to use my hot stove because it's way too big for a lavabo. Because the Polish lavabo is really small. It's for a big guy like me. It's really cozy in there. So anywho, that's all I had to say for now. So I'm sorry if I haven't been really active lately, but I've been really active out of the social media. I was really busy. Life keeps me really, really busy. So it's not my highest peak for the outdoors right now, but as the winter finishes and spring comes along and summer and fall, that's where I'm really, really active, and we're going to see a lot more content then. So I thank you for watching, and please bear with me. And I want to thank all my subscribers that and all the people that comment on my videos. The comments have been super positive, and that really is encouraging. So thank you very much, and keep watching, keep coming, and please subscribe, and I'll see you later. Are you still there? Are you stalking me or something? Huh? Stop staring at me.